Alright, well, the exhaust's under the car and bolted all back up. I swapped out the reverse relay for a little jumper wire. Does the same thing as the little metal piece, just touch 30 and 87 together in the relay. Came back here, I took so on the 5-speed, all the 4 wires, which is just, I guess, the reverse light switch and the speed sensor come through this one connector, which is a little different on the automatic. On the automatic, the speed sensor comes through the separate connector, and then there's the 2 connectors that go to the range indicators. So I took the connector off the wiring on the automatic, which I just depinned it, so nothing got hurt there, and moved the pins over to the separate connector, so the speed sensor should work. Didn't hook up the reverse light switch yet, but that's optional. Under the hood, everything is pretty much back together except for the engine brace, airbox, and everything. For the vacuum line that went to the transmission, all I did there was just cap it off. So I'm going to go get the key, and hopefully we can start the car. Alright, well, I haven't tried anything yet, so this is the first time I'm seeing it try to start too. So we're in neutral. No starty. So we have something to figure out still. I suspect some of the old neutral safety switch wiring is keeping it from trying to start. Make sure I'm not running anyone over. It works! Oh my. And if you're rattling, the hatch is open and there's all kinds of crap in the back still. Third gear. Let's try for second again. Still a weird feeling with this dogleg box. Feels like I'm in a gear I'm not in. Huh? Well, the car is running and driving with the 5-speed now. So I guess we'll have to keep driving it some more and see how everything's holding up, but so far it's doing alright. Well, so this is where I'd like to tell you that everything has been great and the car drives like a dream and no problems. Well, that's not completely true. The car does drive really good now. But I've noticed that when the clutch is engaged, or the pedal's up, and sitting in neutral, you could hear a good bit of noise from the center of the car, sounding like from the torque tube. I was like, okay, that's a little weird, and you'd put the clutch in, and you can hear the drive shaft spin down and the noise stops. Now driving it in gear, you're not hearing anything, so I wasn't really sure what it was at first. But now we've gone ahead, I'll go back over here, and we've taken the exhaust off and the lower bell housing down to get to the drive shaft, which is now disconnected from the engine so I can spin it, and when you spin it, you can hear that noise. It sounds like, honestly, it sounds like bearings starting to go bad. And we put new bearings in there when we rebuilt the torque tube, so I need to do a little bit more work. I need to drop the clutch down so I can get the drive shaft completely disconnected from the torque tube, and that way I can make sure it definitely is the torque tube and not the transmission, hopefully. But it's sure seeming like I'm dropping a torque tube again. Well, we have the transmission back out of the car because something was making some noise in it, and after pulling it apart, turned out to be some bad needle bearings in the input shaft. They go between just the input shaft here, 50-gear shaft, whatever it's really called, and the main shaft inside, which is probably called something else, and I don't know the right name for it. But anyway, so it had a little bit of schmutz on the main shaft there, but some really fine polishing paper is just getting that right off, so I think we'll be in business. We got new bearings and seals and everything, which at least will fix a little bit of seeping we had from the input shaft, so hopefully we can get back in business soon. Yeah, and just one quick look, so nice new needle bearing, old crusty needle bearing. I think some moisture had managed to wick in the end of the output shaft. That's where the drive shaft goes, and in there is a little cap. I think just being in a damp environment, the moisture wicked in the front of the transmission there and rested that. But anyway, I guess we'll pour a little bit of oil over those since it seems like they don't get a ton of splash lubrication, and we'll get the front of the transmission put back together. Alright, well, our transmission is mostly back together. Got the lay shaft in. I just put a little grease around the snap ring there so it doesn't get rusted. Input shaft is in, obviously, and the cap's on. Need to put the world's biggest snap ring on it. So far, it still makes a little bit of noise, but I think it's a lot better than it was before. These old needle bearings are definitely trashed. Anyway, we'll get the world's scariest snap ring back on, top gasket, diff cover, all that good stuff, and it's a bit dark now, but maybe in the next day or so we can get the trans back in the car. Nope, 928's out, and it's running good. That little bit of noise with the torque tube's still there, but at least I know the bearings in there are all turning nice, and the needle bearings that were definitely bad are replaced. I think that ball bearing's making a bit of the noise, but I needed to get it out of the garage, so I could get the charger in the garage. And sitting here is a new-to-me transmission I bought at a junkyard with 4,000 miles on it, because something seems to be going on with the transmission and the charger.